third part of transactional analysis. Today we will be discussing about a very important concept in transactional analysis, which is called as the life script. Now, what is a life script? A life script is a self-defining blueprint, right? Self-defining means who writes this life script? We ourselves write our own life script. It is a blueprint. Blueprint means what? It decides how we will be leading our life, how we will be facing successes and failures in our life, and even it also decides how we end our life, right? So life script reinforces our beliefs, right? In a simple way, if we try to understand what is it, there are some keywords that we need to understand here. First is a life script. Is it a conscious plan or conscious decision or a conscious thing that we do? No, not at all. It is unconscious. It is an unconscious life plan that we decided in early childhood. When it forms in early childhood. One thing, is it conscious? No, it's unconscious. Second, when is it formed? Is it formed throughout your life? Is it formed during adulthood? No, it's formed only during early childhood, right? Next, how is it formed? Who forms it? We form it. How we form it? We form it on the basis of our interpretation of the world or our interpretation of the things that are happening with us, right? How parents are interacting with us, our interaction with the environment, our life experiences, whatever is happening with us, but how are we interpreting it? How it is actually happening, that doesn't matter. For example, my parents scolded me for wasting my time watching the TV. But how did I interpret it as a child? That my parents are very rude, or if I may interpret that my parents don't like me, or my parents object me in anything. So it is just my interpretation on the basis of which I'll be making the life script. I'll not be making the interpretation of what actually the situation is. And then what happens on the basis of the life script, those things only keep on repeating in our life, right? Because what we do is we try to attach all the things to our life script, right? Next time somebody else objects us in something which is not at all related to our parents objecting us. For example, in the market we have gone and somebody just told us, see, why are you just walking, or why are you throwing the wrapper on the street? So how do we take this? We think that that person is also trying to criticize me. So we form a life script of criticism in our life. So that keeps repeating in our life, right? So it is not fate, it is not personality, it is just an early decision pattern, right? So next is, from here, what did we understand? First is life script. Who writes it? We write our own life script. Unconsciously we write it. During our early childhood, we form our life script. It is a decision that we take. It is an early decision pattern. Early because it takes place in early childhood. Decision pattern means because it on the basis of our interpretation, we have decided that this is how our life script is going to be, and we and that acts like a magnet. Our life script, it acts like a magnet, and we attach ourselves to all those familiar situations because it makes us feel psychologically safe. Is it our fate? No, it's not our fate. Is it our personality? No, it is not our personality. Because see, a question may be asked to confuse you that a life script decides the personality of a person. No, it doesn't decide the personality of a person. How can our personality be like that? It's not personality. You have to understand it clearly that it's not personality. It is not fate also, right? It is just a decision pattern. We are talking about it scientifically. It's a decision pattern. Now, example. Now, when we are a child, do we have that sense of interpreting everything that is happening around us logically? No, we don't have that capacity to think logically, right? Rather, how do we think? Most of the times, we think emotionally, right? We make sense of everything what is happening around us very emotionally. For example, a child is there, the child's mother is always stressed because of some or the other thing, and during a particular phase of time, the mother tends to ignore the child because some or the other tension is going on in the mother's mind. But how does the child interpret it? Unconsciously. Does the child interpret it consciously? No. The child interprets it unconsciously. How? Maybe I'm not important to my mother, and that's why my mother is trying to ignore me. Now what happens? That becomes the belief of the child. That becomes the script belief of the child, right? Our life script that we make is based upon the script belief, right? So this is the belief of a child, I am not important, right? Then what happens later on in life, whenever some similar situations arise, the child tries to choose those situations where they feel unimportant, right? Because see, initially what is the belief? Maybe I am not that important. Then as life moves on, they try to choose the places or choose those situations, choose those friends where they don't feel important. But and what happens, this keeps on repeating, this pattern keeps on repeating. They choose the similar thing. But shouldn't it be the opposite? Like, shouldn't it be that like we try to prove ourselves that we are important, rather than reinforcing our script belief that we are not important? Should we not try and change it and try to prove that we are important? See, this thing can also happen. This is called compensation. Now we can deal with the script belief in two ways, right? How do we deal with the script belief? Either we repeat that, or either we overcompensate that, right? But transactional analysis by Eric Berne is based upon what belief? The core idea is that we unconsciously recreate familiar emotional outcomes, right? It is our you may say our tendency, or our way of looking at things, that we try to unconsciously recreate similar emotional outcomes. For example, if we are sad, then we try to reinforce that. This is what Eric Berne is trying to say, right? Even if those outcomes are painful, if the feeling is of guilt, anger, shame, sadness, then what happens? We, as a magnet, we get attracted to those things in our life. Everything appears to be sad, everything appears to be awful, we feel guilty for everything. This is how things happen according to the transactional analysis by Eric Berne, right? Because why? The core concept is that because familiarity feels psychologically safe, right? Whenever we are encountering familiar situations, see, feeling of guilt, it's not when we have experienced it once, it's not an unfamiliar situation for us. We already know how the feeling of guilt is, how the feeling of shame is, how it feels to be sad. We are already familiar with this, and when we are with some familiar person or a familiar situation, it feels psychologically safe, right? So that is why, only because we feel psychologically safe over there, we try to attach ourselves or repeat those emotional, or recreate those familiar emotional outcomes, right? Because predictability is preferred over happiness, right? If we try to get over that guilt, that may give us happiness, but what do we prefer? We prefer predictability over happiness. We prefer those situations where we feel psychologically safe, because if we try to do something else, that initial anxiety, it will contradict our script, right? So unconsciously we try to recreate only those familiar situations, right? Because we want to avoid the anxiety which may be created when we contradict our own script belief, right? But what happens if we try to prove, right? No, we are not this, right? Then we try to overcompensate. But when we try to, how do we overcompensate? Overcompensation is possible only when the drivers exist, right? Drivers means, if somebody, our parents, tell us, see, there are certain elements in transactional analysis. For example, the injunctions are the restricted thoughts, the negative things that we get from our parents or from the authority figures or somebody, which says don't be stupid, right? You are careless, right? These are the negative things that we keep on hearing about ourselves, are the injunctions. Whereas what are drivers are counter injunctions. Drivers means what we hear positive about ourselves, right? The things that we hear and it makes us feel motivated, like you can do it, you can try, you should try, you must try. These are the drivers. And when these drivers come into place, till the time only injunctions are there, we never try to overcompensate. But time the drivers come into play, we try to overcompensate. And what happens now? If we are trying to overcompensate, means we are trying to prove that we are important. Now when we are trying to prove that we are important, what do? We are still confirming our script, no? Because we feel that we are not like important for our parents, we try to prove them wrong. So what happens, the script belief remains the same, no, even if we repeat it. One way is repeat, second way is overcompensate. If we are trying to repeat it, then also we are reinforcing our script belief, and if we are trying to overcompensate, then also we are reinforcing our script belief. So the script belief remains intact in both the ways, right? So what is the script? The life script that we make about ourselves unconsciously. It attracts, like it works like a magnet. It pulls everything which are similar, which are familiar feelings, like familiar endings, familiar emotional payoffs, even if it's painful. This is how it works, right? Now, how this life script, how do we form a life script? The first step is parental messages. Like transactional analysis may Eric Berne stresses on what? He stresses on parental messages, right? He stresses that the life script, we form our life script very early in childhood, right? So parents may send us some messages, or the way parents talk to us, it may be like, don't argue, you are useless, don't cry. These are all injunctions. It may be indirect also, like they ignore us, comparing and over controlling, right? Something which is negative, restricted, it is injunction. Now, how do we, maybe in don't cry, maybe a positive thing that they must have told, but how do we interpret? As a child, transactional analysis may Eric Berne believes that we cannot think like an adult, right? Like an adult, matlab reality oriented. No, we always think emotionally, right? As a child, we always think emotionally, and that is why, how do we conclude? We conclude that if I speak, I get rejected. If I succeed, people won't like it. I must not shine. So this is what the parents told, or this is what the parents meant? No, they did not mean this, but this is how we interpreted and decided our life pattern to be like, right? Life script to be like. This is the child's interpretation, which is done emotionally, not logically, right? Another thing that Eric Berne believes is that, why do we keep on repeating the same things? Because it feels, even if it's positive, even if it's negative, emotional outcomes or emotional payoffs, we keep on repeating it because it feels psychologically safe, right? And then on the basis of this, the third step is we take an early decision. What is this life script? It is the early decision that we have taken. It is not fate, it's not a personality, it is the early decision that we have taken, that this is how our life should be, this is how we will lead our life, right? So the child decides that, okay, I'll people don't like me, I'm not important, I'll stay quiet, right? I will overcompensate karke. They can also think, I'll always try to be loved, right? So this becomes the script core. Next, what happens? Repetition. So Eric Berne, does he say about overcompensation? No, overcompensation, trying to rectify, it's not stated in Eric Berne's theory. That I explained you only to make it sound logical, right? But what is mentioned in Eric Berne's theory? Eric Berne's transactional analysis में repetition is mentioned. He says that it is repetition which happens in adulthood, right? We unconsciously choose the similar situations. We react in similar ways or familiar ways. We recreate how the same emotional endings, right? And then the script is reinforced, right? One example that we may take is, father says, right, don't show your weakness. Now the child's early decision that he takes is, I must not feel, right? The parent told, don't show your weakness, but the child interprets it emotionally that I should not feel only, right? An adult may, how this is reinforced, how it is repeated, doesn't express sadness, right? Because and then feels emotionally detached, and the script belief, it keeps on reinforcing, it keeps on repeating that feelings are only dangerous, right? Next is, try to understand that script is not a personality trait, it's not a genetic destiny, it is not conscious, it's an early decision, it's unconscious, it's pattern, it is repetitive, right? Types of scripts can be winner, loser, or winner, non-winner, and loser. Winner means the person achieves the goals and feels okay. Non-winner is that type of script where the person doesn't take any chance, doesn't take any risk, works only from the comfort zone, right? And loser means the person takes self-sabotaging behaviors, right? So winner means what? Winner means psychologically autonomous, right? So what are injunctions? Injunctions are restrictive messages. What are counter injunctions? Counter injunctions are drivers, which are conditional drivers. What is early decision? It's a child's interpretation, unconscious interpretation. What is the script belief? Script belief is core cognitive thing. What does theme? What does the child believe? What is the cognitive theme? Racket feeling is the script feeling, like repetitive. The emotional pattern is known as the racket feeling. Feeling emotional pattern, right? Just a belief means cognitive theme. Racket feeling, script feeling means emotional pattern, and payoff means script confirmation or the ending, right? So again, we'll get into the detail of the winner script. Winner script may the person achieves the goals, right? Winner, the person is a winner in his life. He thinks that I can achieve the goals, and because of which the person achieves the goals, feels okay, and a positive self-concept develops. And now what is the life position like? I'm okay, you are okay. Non-winner is how it's functioning always in the comfort zone, average functioning, does not take any major risks, does not also get any major successes in his life, because not taking risks, not getting major success. Loser script is self-sabotage, self-destructive, failure pattern. This is because of failure pattern, right? And the life is very crisis oriented, right? The next is tragic script. Tragic script means which ends in a dramatic negative outcome, which has a negative ending, is a tragic script, life script. Which is a banal script, ordinary repetitive unhappiness. When repetitive unhappiness, which has a tragic ending, which has this very sad ending, which has a very negative ending, it's the tragic script. Banal script is the one where in the script there is repetitive unhappiness hai, bar unhappiness hai. Which script is it? It is banal script. Now always script, I will always fail. A person who has a always script, I will always fail, I will always fall down, I will always achieve my goals, is always script. Never script is just the opposite, can never do that. Until script is very conditional, I can relax after success. After script, things go bad. After happiness, almost script. And you only make it, destiny wale persons are almost script, right? So this is for this class, and next class we'll be discussing about life positions. Thank you.